Up until the point where we're going to start production, we'll have units in the field. And if we see an issue with a particular tool or an application's not going right, we'll stop production on that item.
How many red shirts do you have?
I only have 3 with me today. So it uses a fluid style clutch that cut that vibration down by, I think it was roughly 30 to 50% at the time.
As a lefty who has never owned a pair of left-handed scissors, I really appreciate that.
Highly disruptive, highly innovative product development is where we always go back to.
Do you have a favorite Milwaukee product? Doesn't, and I'd be shocked if it was one of the ones.
Very pensive.
If it was one of the ones you brought. But, welcome to the Beyond the Breaker podcast. Well, Dan, welcome to the Beyond the Breaker podcast. Thank you for coming in.
Thanks for having me.
I think for those watching, those that probably saw the episode title, Dan is from Milwaukee Tool, and I think just to get this kicked off before we talk about what we're going to go into in this episode, why don't you introduce yourself, tell us about your career, how you ended up at Milwaukee, and what you currently do there.
Sure. No, again, really happy to be here. Thanks for having me. Again, my name is Dan Blythe. I'm in the product management department at Milwaukee Tool. So my role is to, lead one of our business units. So I'm in charge of our metalworking team and the product roadmap and supporting the business along the way. And the main part of what me and my peers do is work with our product team members and really get out into the field and see what are the pain points that you and your peers are having from a construction standpoint, and how can we make new products or improve current products to help construction work more efficiently, help keep your team members safer, and just help keep the overall construction business efficient.
And what's your background? How'd you get into that?
Yeah, so my background, honestly, I started off in mechanical engineering back in the day. So went to Marquette University, a little bit of a plug there. Started off in mechanical engineering and worked in mechanical design in power tools for a number of years. Had an opportunity to move over to the product side as, again, I enjoyed the design side of things, but really enjoyed working with end users and seeing what their pain points were, as well as focusing on the strategy of the business, and have been in that kind of role ever since. So worked at another power tool company for a while, actually worked on the distribution side for a while. And then 5 years ago, I joined Milwaukee on the product management team and have kind of moved up through the ranks there. And again, really enjoy the culture and the drive that we have at Milwaukee Tool and what we're able to do.
How many red shirts do you have?
I only have 3 with me today. I probably have.
It was a short trip.
It was a short trip.
It was for one night.
It was a 24-hour trip.
Yeah.
I probably have around about a dozen red shirts. You never know when you're going to need 1 or 2.
I love that. In a previous career in the industry, at the conventions or the conferences, Milwaukee always was just like so good at walking into the trade show floor, and they have the booth right by the doors, and it just hits you bright red, and it's every single person is in a red polo or a red shirt with black pants, and it's on cue, and it's for the duration of the convention. If it's
that
4
wasn't
days,
an accident, man.
Yeah. No, it's genius.
I was joking with Ben earlier. We call it the Milwaukee Tuxedo Bee, and we take a lot of pride. Take a lot of pride in the brand, and take a lot of pride in representing well. So it's nice to have that uniformity and again have it stand out. Hopefully, it's a positive impact.
As you should. Milwaukee should take pride in it because it is a very well-known product. I think a lot of the industry uses it. It continues to become the innovative leader, I think, in the industry. So part of what we wanted to talk about today was really that development of product at Milwaukee and how you approach the process of understanding, like you said, the pain points for contractors or users, really. It could be just the everyday homeowner.
Yep.
And go through that detail. And I think to start us off, can you just tell us about what is Milwaukee's, baseline process for recognizing what is needed and taking the step to really bring that to the users? Sure.
No, it's a great question. Again, an area we take a lot of pride in and honestly spend a lot of man hours making sure that we do a great job. So, the thing that we look at when we start any project is what are those pain points that our customers are having or those end users. And honestly, that user first, highly disruptive, highly innovative product development is where we always go back to. We look at not just, what are the challenges that they might be having with their drill or their grinder, but what is the overall process that they're trying to accomplish, right? Look at it in the grand scale of a construction site or maybe a remodeling project and see, okay, how can we not only help this individual issue, but how can we fix those larger issues for them? Another key element of it is the continued user feedback. So again, we have have, roughly 100 product managers, I believe, across all of our different product teams. And 50% of their time is spent out in the field, out in shops, out on job sites, just seeing the day in the life of those end users and of our partners. And again, trying to really dig into what those issues are. You won't see us doing focus groups or sort of like mass surveys, right? We really pride ourselves in that belly to belly, really digging into what those key pain points are. Another thing that we do along the way is, even as we get into some of the early prototypes and figuring out how we're going to go about solving some of those challenges, we'll take out 3D printed models and machine models, really early concept kind of stuff to get initial feedback and then continue that feedback even as, say, we release our production tooling, to make injection molded handles and cast housings and things like that. We'll take those out as well. So, your typical power tool product development project right now is probably 18 to 36 months. And there's, 5 to 6 checkpoints throughout that entire process. Up until the point where we're going to start production, we'll have units in the field. And if we see an issue with a particular tool or an application's not going right, we'll stop production on that item, pull it back in, make sure we get it right, and then get that corrected product back out to our end users and distributors.
I had no idea that the production cycle would be, 18 months plus.
Yeah.
That seems like this tremendous timeline of opportunity. I don't quite know the right way to say it, but like for people to sort of like nitpick tiny little things about it.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, no, we're not talking about the handle anymore. It's good. We heard it was good.
Yeah.
We're only talking about the guard or something. And so that's got to be a lot to sift through there in that sort of product development cycle. Like at some point though, you got to cut it off, right? You got to be done.
At some point, you do got to snap the line.
Put them
That's
on the
for sure.
shelves.
And especially as we're working with our newer product team members. And again, I'll give a lot of credit to our leadership team who has all kind of come up through the ranks on the product side and understands, call it the rhythm or the art of product management as you approach those sorts of issues as well. But yeah, at some point, it's like, hey, right, the overall size is going to be what it is unless we say, hey, this isn't going to be viable from a commercial standpoint. It's not going to get the job done. But yeah, you do see a maturity grow throughout it. So it goes from, hey, we're really defining the space to refining the space to validating the product and making sure that it's going to meet the user needs.
I'm going to give you a layup question, I hope, here. Where does safety come into play on this development? And then there's your layup question.
Don't remove the guard and don't tape down the trigger.
Yeah, but I want to speak towards like the ergonomics of the tools, right? I understand battery powered, lighter, less vibration, all those things.
Yeah.
Where does that come into play when it's product review and in receiving that feedback, and how is that obviously taken towards eventual production?
Yeah, no, there's a couple of parts to the answer. So one, I would say that is safety is foundational to the Milwaukee Tool business. As we look back through history, again, there's certainly been developments over time, but making sure that one, all of our power tool or electrified products all meet their relevant agency standards, right? So we make sure that everything has that third-party listing, and even if we're working on something that's brand new to the industry and maybe that part two or that listing doesn't exist yet, we work with those partners to help make sure that those needs are met. We also have a very robust team on the within the company that helps to look at the different usage of tools and ensure that again, hazards, either standard or exotic, are also met, and we continue to evaluate the changing landscape. And then I'd say that the other piece of it as well is, again, taking feedback from partners such as yourselves and saying, hey, right, we're having a particular issue with a bandsaw, or, we're having an application challenge when cutting strut. And we'll go back and look at that and see, again, how can we either change usage of a particular tool, or how can we make a new tool maybe that cuts that product or does that application in a very specific manner.
So not asking like to peek behind the curtain and hear the secret recipe there, but as you're evaluating different things, Andrew listed off a number of things about like how light it is, how powerful it is, et cetera. It sounds like that safety gets a really high sort of emphasis in the scoring and the overall product development.
Yeah, I would say it definitely does. Even looking at what being cordless means from an overall usability standpoint, not having turtle boxes and cords strung across job sites. Even when you look at a pipe fabrication area, not having your 3 or 4 grinders all being corded and getting those tangled up along with your welding rod and such. So definitely making sure that the product is highly capable, helps you get the job done more efficiently and not have to lean into it like you might have had to do with products of the past. making sure, again, like you mentioned, the ergonomics, right? We continue to have technologies that help us advance the energy density in batteries and the energy density in motors and electronics and help to continue to shrink those down. Or again, to look at new mechanisms where possible to again, change the way an application is done or take out vibration and noise. Actually, I have a
Yes, please. Show and tell.
here. Have a good example of just that. So,
Any of the folks who are used to listening to this on audio only, I'd encourage you, if you have an opportunity to do it safely, check out some of the products that Dan's going to show today.
yeah, so one that I brought was a product that launched last summer. So not sure if you guys have had a chance to deploy it, but again, impact drivers have become a significant part of every construction process.
They are everywhere.
Driving
Yes.
screws, and right, it's really replaced that drill driver and standard screwdrivers in a lot of applications. But one of the pain points with impact drivers is that hammering noise, right? So especially if you're driving longer screws or working in sheet metal types of structures, that vibration and that impact really starts to wear on you, both from a vibration in your hand standpoint, as well as just the kind of the mental load that has throughout the day. So we launched our first surge hydraulic driver around about 7 years ago, I believe. And again, it replaced the mechanical impacting mechanism, so metal on metal impacting mechanism, with a hydraulic. So it uses a fluid style clutch that cut that vibration down by, I think it was roughly 30 to 50% at the time. So again, significant reduction in vibration, significant reduction in noise. However, what we found was that worked great for lighter duty applications and driving screws into sheet metal and things, but in some of the heavier wood-based applications, it just wasn't meeting those productivity needs. So in the Gen 2 product, the team was able to improve the overall performance of the tool significantly to basically match the standard mechanical impact driver in nearly 90% of the application. So even driving some really long wood screws into heavy decking and such, it still has the same overall speed, if not faster in some cases, while again, even further reducing that noise and vibration. Again, make sure that operator is really having a much better experience. They can have both their productivity and their NVH comfort, if you will, and not having that noise and vibration rattling them all day.
I think I want to go to kind of what's this is on the M18 battery.
Yeah.
Do you have? I don't know if it's an industry secret, and you don't need to say it if it is, but I think I would say other brands also have switched to the battery operated. Is there analytics out there or stats that show the productivity increase just based on like battery based applications as
just
opposed
not
to
being
cords? Like you mentioned earlier, because I feel like the efficiencies with just that, being able to switch that out and throw it on a charger, has to be hours.
Yeah,
hours
it's
of
a great
time
question. I actually don't know any stats, but I'm going to go back and I'm going to look at that because I think from our experience, we would definitely agree that, again, not having to have cords, not having to string cords, repair cords. Again, if I look at my corded grinder fleet, one of the number one repairs is damaged cords because, again, they get stepped on, driven on, crimped and such. So not having to worry about that entanglement definitely is a huge productivity boost. And then again, when you look at overall performance of most of our cordless products now are well beyond what you could previously achieve on an AC breaker. When my peers launched a new circular saw a few months ago, again, pushing 3,000 watts peak power out of a battery operated tool. And again, you just can't drive those kinds of powers on an AC product. At least sustainably, you'll start blowing breakers, then having other productivity hits your overall process.
So even in that sort of application, we're recharging batteries because we're using that energy in a relatively remote spot.
Yeah.
And we're going to go put them back on the charger. But even while we're recharging those, we're still using less energy in a particular unit of time where we're not going to blow breakers. We're not going to have that extra hassle, rework, delay associated with that.
Yeah.
I never even thought of that before.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
And there's been additional enhancements too. Again, it's one of those things of cordless technology continues to advance. And even as I, again, talk to people on the metalworking side of things, it's like, oh, we tried cordless grinders years ago and it didn't work. But again, today's cordless grinders, today's cordless tools as a whole, even batteries, aren't what they were even 3 years ago. If you look at some of our more advanced batteries we've released in the last couple of years, our M18 Forge lineup, again, it focuses not just on higher energy density within the cells, but also higher durability, so they last longer than the cells of old.
More cycles
More
of
cycle life.
charging and discharging.
Yep, more cycle life, as well as just ability to stand up to more rugged environments better. So both temperature fluctuations, vibration fluctuations, being sealed against contamination. And then adding to that active active cool cycle while it's charging. So again, you can take a hot battery pack, put it onto one of our M18 superchargers. It will both cool down that battery as it's charging it, so it can recharge it faster, and then it's cool and ready to go when you take it off. So again, where you might have had to have 3, 4, 6 batteries to get through a day with a heavy draw tool, now you can do it with maybe 2 to 3 battery packs. You kind of got one to show and one to go. Again, greatly enhancing your overall productivity while also limiting the number of packs that you have to have at standby.
And that's all over time, feedback from contractors and users of just like, stam cord.
Yeah,
can't get around the cord.
It's the cord, or it's again the number of packs that I have to have. So yeah, we continue to look at ways that we can improve that overall, that duty cycle, that efficiency, and in some areas too, cost. Hey, I don't want to have to buy a dozen battery packs to get through this application all day. I want to do it with fewer packs or without having to send so much gear out with my guys in the field. So it's a great challenge to have, and again, we continue to deliver. So props to my peers on the battery and charging side of things. They're really putting their work in as well. And it's great to see the technology continue to advance.
Awesome. If you don't mind sticking with batteries for a little bit,
sure.
Are you guys also developing the batteries themselves? Is that a partnership? Is that outsourced completely?
Yeah, no, the batteries. So if we look at like what goes into the M18 battery pack itself, it is designed by our Milwaukee Tool engineers as well, designed and validated. We do work with external partners that develop the cells themselves, and again, that's another area of increasing complexity. But again, we do really spec out what is the chemistry that goes inside of the cells and how are they built to make sure that again they're really bespoke to meeting the needs of our construction environment. Because one of the things you don't want to do is just say take a cell that's maybe developed for an EV and throw it in a power tool, and again, very different usage and recharge cycles and such. So again, we want to make sure we're putting that best battery and cell out there for our end users.
You talked about a couple of things that we've done as it relates to improvements in those batteries, temperature ranges that they're effective, sealing them from outside contaminant, and so on. What's like the current biggest killer of a battery? Why does a battery go to junk? Why do cells fail, perhaps?
Overall, cells will eventually fail because of, 1, heat, and 2, just the number of charge-recharge cycles. So the inside the gel, if you will, that's inside of your cells will start to lose its potency over time. So the more cycles and the more harsh temperature swings that you'll put through it, that will cause it to eventually lose its overall potential, and then that battery pack will eventually drive out. So again, in specifying the materials used and the chemistry used and partnering with those experts in the field, that's where we can continue to, again, drive more specific developments within the realm of power tool science.
One last question on batteries, and then I'll be quiet for a little bit. If I'm a homeowner, I don't have 700 tools and 1,000 batteries. I might just have a couple or few. What are things that I might do to help extend or maybe protect the longevity of the battery?
Yeah, I think storing them in a more temperature-controlled environment is certainly something that can help. Again, we know that a lot of batteries kind of get left out in the cold, if you will, in the garage or in the truck overnight. But again, keeping them
that's not the best?
It's not typically not the best. Again, they won't necessarily get hurt by the storage temperature itself, but again, the fluctuations between really low temperatures and higher temperatures can be something that does wear on them. So again, that storage piece is important to just help increase that longevity. And again, using a Milwaukee branded high quality charger is also important. So avoiding anything that you might see that looks like it's too good to be true might be too good to be true. So again, the genuine batteries, genuine accessory chargers are a really important piece. And then also making sure you're using the right batteries with the right tools. So again, I'm holding one of our...
But it clips in there. How could it be the wrong one, Dan?
Compatibility is a great piece. Again, M18 today is the same M18 interface that we've always had. But that doesn't mean that you should throw like a 2.0 battery pack on a 9-inch angle grinder. So again, making sure that you're pairing the right capacity of battery or the right technology of battery with those higher draw tools. So that's where you'll see, again, we have our standard red lithium tier, our high output tier, and now our forged tier. That in those upward scaling tiers in battery technology also correspond to the upward scaling demands that things like larger angle grinders and rotary hammers and some of your outdoor power equipment can put on those batteries.
Right on. Thank you.
Yeah, you bet.
recover batteries?
I'm good for now.
You got the
I reserve the
curiosity?
right to go back and ask more dorky questions about it.
I want to talk about some other stuff that you brought. I know that you have others that you want to show, and I don't know if you had anything specific you wanted to talk about with those. Maybe you can talk about the evolution of what you have brought.
Yeah, no, I wanted to bring a couple other examples because, again, I think you raised a good question before in terms of, how does safety and usability and productivity play into how we develop new products? And so one of the areas where we had a lot of questions from our partners was, looking at angle grinders. How do I keep the guard on the tool? How do I keep the guys from taking the handle off the tool? How do we make sure that the tool's used the way that the tool's intended to be used? So again, all of our grinders, again, are awesome products. They're all safe in their own right, and this goes kind of across the fleet. But there are specific items, and you'll start to see more of them pop up across the portfolio where we've really taken it to the nth degree. So one of the products that I wanted to bring to kind of show to you guys and the audience is our M18 Fuel dual trigger grinder. So
That's a mouthful.
yeah, right. It's actually dual trigger braking grinder, and then with one key.
Not to be mistaken.
Yeah. But again, it's really a halo product within the fleet to show that, hey, if you want to drive a very particular user experience with a tool like a grinder, and again, we work through what that looks like for our respective organizations, we've been able to make it happen. So again, this is a tool where you have to have the side handle on it. It's always there. And we do that by adding a second set of triggers to the tool. So I have a standard paddle on the bottom, and you can see an extra set of switches on the side here. And if I squeeze both of them, sorry for the noise, if I take one hand off, tool shuts down.
Yeah.
So again, you have to recycle them both. You can't just tape that switch down. Again, making sure that your hands are staying on the tool. And that way, if it does, say it kicks back and it gets out of control, the tool is going to stop and shut itself down and keep that accessory on the workpiece and not getting into something where you don't want it. So that's a technology that, again, we first implemented on bandsaws about 5 years ago. So we have an M18 deep cut and a compact that's roughly a 3.5 and a 5-inch saw that have that mandatory two-handed technology in them. We now have a pair of angle grinders that also have this experience, again, making sure that these tools that you want to keep under control stay under control. Another kind of party trick with this one, again, making sure that you can still get a high amount of ambidextrous usage and not really sacrifice anything from an accessibility standpoint. We did make it so the side handle still moves left, right, and center. It also tilts back along the body. So again, really looking at what is the process that the operators have to go through when they're using this tool. So not just saying, hey man, you're screwed, you got to keep that handle on there, right? We wanted to make sure that they could still get that full range of motion out of it and actually provide a significantly better experience than what they had today.
As a lefty who has never owned a pair of left-handed scissors, I really appreciate that.
Yeah.
How long do you think, as you developed this product in this model of it, how long was that process? You mentioned 18 to 36 months earlier.
I'll say this was a product we actually knocked out in less than 18 months. We had a team that was extremely focused on developing a really disruptive product for the industry and getting out as quickly as possible. Nice. With this particular one, we did so in using kind of our baseline grinder platform that we had existing. So we have our range of 5-inch fuel angle grinders, which are frankly awesome and have a lot of great capabilities in and of themselves. And we're able to add on the additional technologies in terms of the new handle and the new switching and added auto stop as well, not to miss out on some of the other party tricks that this one has. But not only does it have the dual trigger actuation and rapid stop that stops that accessory quickly. When I let off, you hear the spindle stops. It also has auto stop, which is an anti-kickback technology that you'll see across drills and rotary hammers, grinders, circ saws now, again, which helps prevent against unintended tool rotation. So if that grinder suddenly kicks about any of its three main axes, again, I could be working in 3D space, I could be beveling a piece of pipe, and again, it's not just going to twist in my hand like a drill might kick back with a hole saw. You wanted to account for that multi-dimensional type of event that can happen on a grinder, and again, help shut it down, help keep that operator under control.
There are unspoken numbers of teeth that are so thankful for that. Not having a drill or another portable tool kick you in the face or hurt your shoulder or wrist or something like that.
Yeah.
Love that.
Yeah.
What about when we talk, you talk impact drivers and like how about when it comes to the actual bits or the blades?
The accessories themselves.
The accessories? Yeah. What is Milwaukee's process there? And I think from one of them, like the bits for themselves, like they used to be, right? You want a Phillips or a flathead on it. It was just its own magnetic insert.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little bit wider of a tube. Now they're pretty narrow. But from what I've seen, is like more efficient, safer, less kickback. So what does that look like when you get really minuscule on those accessories and getting down to the details there?
Yeah, I would say, and again, for my kind of perspective on the power tool side of things, we continue to partner extremely closely with our product peers on the accessory side of things. So whether it's your impact driving bits or circular saw blades, or now a whole new range of grinder accessories, that again, really looking at that entire process and optimizing those accessories for usage on the tools. Because you're right, there was definitely a few years there where the impact drivers got really powerful and they started snapping bits, and then the bits got too stiff and then they weren't as efficient with the tools. And now we're kind of hitting a great sort of equilibrium, or maybe what's the word? But
I think that
really
works.
started to hit a good sync, if you will, between the tools and the accessories. Another great example of that is circ saw blades. So I mentioned that 3,000 watt circular saw that can drive a ton of power. Well, with those thin cut blades that were optimized for sort of last generation circ saws that could cut more efficiently, started to warp under that extreme load. So now the accessory team was able to develop actually a thick kerf line of blades with heavy duty carbide that could stand up to that extreme power and really match up to that overall performance and productivity that tool could deliver. And then again, pair that with the right battery pack, and you're really getting an awesome kind of all-in-one solution between the tool and the battery and the charger and that accessory to go along with it.
Nice.
Dan, I want to ask questions about like the competitive space around tools and things. And I'm not asking you to name names or anything like that. We all know that you work for a particular tool company, but there's a number on the market. I can go to a big box store. If I'm a contractor of size, I can establish product relationships with a couple different vendors. What are some of the differentiators that you're seeing out there, picking a particular company to work with, whether that's DeWalt or Makita or Hilti or Milwaukee? What are things that people ought to be thinking about as they're making those selections?
Sure.
As a homeowner or as a contractor?
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Again, right, it's a small industry, so you get to know a lot of people and you see a lot of common faces around. But I'd say, again, the important things to think about are, again, what is the overall message? What is the overall value that brand is trying to provide to you? So again, with Milwaukee, we want to provide that user-focused, disruptive innovation focused on safety and productivity. That's something you can see across our full range of solutions, whether it's power tools or accessories or PPE or outdoor power equipment or pack out or the whole the whole gamut of things. Right. The other piece as well is, what is the level of service and partnership that you need? So again, that's an area where our team takes a lot of pride. We have an awesome team in the field. We have our job site solutions team members that can get out, and especially for our larger contractor partners, to get out to the site, get out to the shop and see what are your challenges, and not necessarily be there to sell, right? Their job is to help you find the right solutions, to find, the right grinder, the right bandsaw, the right blade to help you achieve that application and get your operation running more efficiently. And then from a service standpoint as well. Again, tools go down, things break, right? Stuff gets dropped, stuff gets driven over by dump trucks. So what does it look like to be able to get that tool back up and running again from a service standpoint? Can you get parts? Can you get tools replaced quickly? And can you keep your guys running safely?
No, I appreciate that. There might be a boutique brand that I really enjoy the way it does a particular thing, but if, like a Lamborghini, I can only get it serviced in 5 locations, that becomes a challenge.
Yeah.
What I didn't hear in there was pick it based on your favorite color.
No, I mean, well, if your favorite color is red, then clearly that's the right answer. But no, right?
Shameless plug.
I'd say too, we know there's other brands out there, and we want to hear your feedback. That's the other piece. So again, I'm here today talking with you guys to kind of talk about what we do differently, and again, appreciate the partnership, but also again, start the conversation, ask the questions. We were talking a bit earlier, right, about just the speed at which we're developing new products. And this is a tool that's been out for over 2 years now, but every day I can show it to somebody who hasn't seen it before. So that's one of our biggest challenges is our speed and our agility in delivering new solutions makes it harder and harder to deliver those solutions to our end users that might need to learn about them. So again, continue, seeking out that information or give us the feedback on, hey, where do you want to find information about products like this, and how can we make sure that we're getting that to you in a digestible format?
Yeah.
With respect to some of those differentiators, and you just gave a great example that this tool's been on the market for a while. Folks have been able to buy it and see it, but so many haven't yet. And it's kind of the same thing, I would imagine, with some of the competitors in that field. Shop your competition, look at things. How do you guys address the idea that somebody will disassemble your tool, take some great ideas out of it, and create their own intellectual property?
Yeah, I'd say for our part, we do our best to protect everything that we can across a tool. So again, we have a fairly robust department that looks at what can we protect on given tools and keeping an eye on things.
The attorneys never go hungry.
Yeah, I would say the other piece as well, again, especially as we talk about, hey, what to look out for, and we sort of mentioned it earlier, is the batteries is something where you will see batteries that are knockoffs, to be frank, out there. If you see, again, tools and batteries that are available for cheaper than you would expect, they're probably not legitimate.
There might be a reason.
There are definitely certain outlets where you won't see a Milwaukee branded product being sold, and so you do want to avoid buying products from those spaces, again, because most often they are something that is not really legit. And then again, frankly, avoiding the pack adapters and things like that, right? It's making sure that you're getting a good, high quality product. Otherwise, I would say that, again, we really continue to not only lean on the products themselves to create a great experience for partners such as yourselves and those listening to us out there in the world, but also all those other pieces like we mentioned. So the partnership and the service and the continued brand equity and the continued disruptive innovation that we're driving within the overall fleet, because there may be an item here or there that's better from a one-off standpoint, but we really try to deliver that full kind of job site suite, if you will, of solutions to help you stay safe and productive.
Yeah. Love it. You kind of just hinted at a handful of things there. We've talked about the tools. I do want to talk about something you mentioned earlier, and I think from our experience with it, what is the culture like in working at Milwaukee?
Yeah.
So get away from maybe the process and the product development, but really talk about from your experience what it's like working for this company. And it seems like the mass amount of collaboration that has to happen in order for products to continually be delivered and service to continually be delivered well and innovatively to customers.
Yeah. I'd say that it's definitely a focused organization. Again, it's not easy. If you hear Steve and Paul and Shane and some of our leaders talk about, what really makes us special, they acknowledge that it is the people. It's that huge, now I think it's over 13,000 employees in the US, I believe, or 13,000 employees globally, but it's that huge collection of people who are frankly really crazy about developing cool stuff, to put it kind of frankly there. So again, it's awesome. It's a challenge, I'll admit it, right? It's a really fast-paced environment. We want to make sure that we are delivering the best solution that we can for our end users, and sometimes that means, having the highs of delivering something that's great, and sometimes it's the lows of getting critical feedback on things and saying, hey guys, right, like this solution isn't meeting up to what we expect and we want something better. But again, it all goes into fueling, pardon the pun, what that next generation of solutions is, and really continuing to stretch ourselves on how do we make the next generation of tools and accessories and batteries and chargers better. It's something where I've really enjoyed my time at Milwaukee. Haven't been in the industry for almost 20 years now. Again, the last 5 have been here, and frankly, there's no other place that personally I would like to be. Haven't been in a lot of other pastures and seen a lot of other fields out there. It's definitely an awesome environment with again a lot of like-minded people who want to just make great products, deliver safe and productive solutions to our users.
Awesome.
So one of the things that we pride ourselves on around here is connecting people and opportunity.
Yeah.
Finding that right person and that right challenge or situation, and hearing you talk with some passion about the strength that you all have as an organization. Maybe what are some things that you would encourage anybody listening or watching, whether it's move into the tool development sphere or something else, how do you want to help connect some people with some opportunity?
Yeah. looking at my own background and also my time at Milwaukee and kind of what we do, it is find that thing that you're passionate about. Again, I grew up on a small farm out in Iowa, working with my hands. You got to literally keep the tractor running and keep the pigs in. So I developed that knack for using power tools and hand tools and wanting to fix things. I'd say continue to look at where you have that passion and that drive. It could be in designing new tools. It could be in development of IT solutions. It could be in being the person that's out there and is the face of the brand as on the job site solution side of things. There's certainly always a lot of opportunities available with Milwaukee specifically. You can go to MilwaukeeTool.com and you can see our job openings there if you wanted to learn more about what makes us tick as a team. But again, there's a lot of other roles out there with contractor partners such as yourselves, construction jobs as well. As we all know that there continues to be a shortage of people who want to work hard and who want to put together awesome buildings and awesome facilities and good quality products. So I think there's a ton of opportunities out there for people that have a drive and a passion and want to work and want to really develop something great.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite Milwaukee product?
Oh,
it doesn't. And I'd be shocked if it was one
that
of
was
the
a
ones.
very pensive.
If it was one of the ones you brought, but
I mean, of the ones I brought, I do think that my dual trigger grinder is definitely a favorite. It was one of the first things that I launched after I joined the team, and again, just something that it stands out, right? Every time you pull it out in a crowd, it definitely gets a reaction.
Yeah.
Another one that I did bring with me that is also. I won't talk too far away from the microphone here, but was a product developed by one of my peers that, again, took the same kind of idea of, hey, what if we were going to make a thing that did the thing really well? So this is our M18 fuel overhead rotary hammer. So being electrical contractors, I had to imagine that you have team members that spend a lot of time drilling in anchors overhead when those anchors aren't cast in place. This was a tool that was made specifically to help alleviate the physical strains of doing that application. So we know that both using a rotary hammer and drilling is a fairly aggressive application. Then also the silica dust created by that needs to be collected. And again, you'll typically see, one of our 2912 SDS plus rotary hammers out there with a big dedicated dust extractor. It's quite a large tool. This tool actually does that same job. It's about half the size and half the weight and is really optimized for that overhead application. So again, I can have a little side handle back here on the back. I can keep my shoulders in a nice neutral grip. I can drill that 5/8 inch anchor hole extremely efficiently, collect that dust into the power dust extractor along the way, and do so without all that wear and tear in my body. So again, it's an awesome product that, again, has been out for a couple of years now, and we're really excited about, again, developing and delivering something that's really disruptive to a fairly single purpose application, but it makes a huge difference for those guys that need it.
Can you use it left-handed?
You can use it left-handed, so I can take the handle off and I can swap it to the other side.
Stupid question.
So you should be good to go. Another favorite one there.
Dan, when you think about the future, hopefully you guys have like some skunk work stuff going on, some really secret stuff.
There's actually 2 or 3 different departments that help with that kind of thing too.
When you think about the future of tool development and the way that we use them in the field to get things done, what are some things that you're excited about, or like problems that you're excited about seeing solved?
Yeah.
If you could magic up a tool today, what would it do and what would be a cool thing?
Yeah, I think, again, there's kind of a multi-part answer to this one, but I do think that the rapid adoption of, again, specific purpose tools is something that we're going to continue to see be a trend in the industry. So you'll see, other solutions like our M18 strut cutter, which is really good for cutting that standard kind of unistrut materials. Our pipe cutter, which is really good at cutting that. I think you'll continue to see this trend towards tools that really do a specific job in a very efficient way. You'll still have a use for your impact drivers and grinders and such, but in those highly repetitive applications, I think you continue to see that. The other piece that we're really excited about as well is just the fact that the tools themselves are getting smarter. So I mentioned, new technology.
That is a phrase I didn't think I would hear today.
New technology within the impact driver, new technology within the angle grinders and drill drivers and circular saws and such. So the tools themselves are getting smarter. We can track how much power they're outputting, what are some of the temperatures inside, what's the duty cycle been for a tool. And so I think that that's another area we're going to continue to see both performance improvements because the tool knows how it's running and can optimize its operations to that. And then also, again, looking at the enhanced safety and control aspect of being able to monitor for really high current draw, for unexpected tool rotations, for doing applications maybe that it wasn't expecting to be doing. And then the third piece as well, I think, is just continued automation. So we continue to look at, how prefab plays a role in construction, how more large modules need to be assembled offsite, moved on site, and then, put in a very particular location. So I think that's another area too where it's going to be really exciting to see how, again, the automation and the high efficiency within those operations continues to change and challenge the way that we do construction projects.
I'm excited for that too. That's going to be great.
Yeah.
I got nothing else. I mean, from our standpoint, we really appreciate you coming in to talk about it. I think, as Ben mentioned, right, there's competition in the industry, but it's really like what you as Milwaukee approach it with is safety in mind, making things just kind of less, say, more efficient. I was going to say less painful. It's not to say that it just inflicts pain with these tools, but kind of fix those pain points for contractors. And I think getting so specific with some of the tools for just a daily task that somebody might be like, I can use this tool for multiple things. It's like, no, let's be really specific about it. Let's figure out how we can make the technology and the equipment smarter, get feedback from it, and continue to develop it, because eventually, like you said, it's been out for a year and a half. So maybe somebody's never heard of it, but there has been the person who started with it for day one, and after a year and a half of time, they've probably found some things that they wish were maybe a little bit better with it.
Yeah.
Or if, and they bring it back to you guys. So really do appreciate you walking through that, being very transparent about the Milwaukee approach, and obviously appreciate the partnership that we have with Milwaukee.
Yeah, no, I appreciate it as well. Again, thanks for having me up here. It was great to be able to run you through a few of the items that I brought, and again, just share what I think and we think makes Milwaukee Tool special, and how we want to, again, continue partnering and continue challenging too. Like I said, the critical feedback is sometimes the best, so we appreciate hearing that as well. It's not all accolades all the time, so want to know where can we help. So that's the piece that we continue to focus on.
Awesome.
Okay.
Thanks, Dan. Let's get out of here.
Thanks, Dan.
Let's go.
Boom.
Cut.
Someday.
That was close. That was a lot closer than the first one.